this lecture we continue with a discussion on the Perl language. Now if you recall, we had already discussed the concept of variables, expressions, how the expressions are evaluated in Perl. We talked about arrays and we talked about a few other string manipulation features that are available in Perl. Now in the present lecture we would first start with looking at a couple of very interesting and important string functions, followed by something which is considered to be one of the most powerful features of Perl, namely regular expressions. Okay. So we start by looking at some of the very interesting string functions. Well, the first function is called split. Split, as the name implies, is used to split a given string into multiple pieces using a specified delimiter. What this means is that given a string, there are certain delimiters, some defined delimiters, it can be a colon, it can be a space. This particular delimiter is existing in several different points in the string, and the whole string will be cut at the locations of the delimiters, and the pieces that you get after the cutting, it is formed as a list. So the result of a split is a list of elements. Okay. So split breaks up a string into multiple pieces and creates a list. Let us take a small illustrative example. Suppose I have a list like this: red, blue, green, white, 255, separated by some character colon. The whole thing is a list. Now you look at this assignment, we have assigned this string to a variable $_. Well, we could have used any conventional variable names, but we have chosen to use the $_ character. Now $_ has a particular significance. $_ is some kind of a default variable in Perl. See, suppose you assign it to a variable, say $ABC, then whenever you want to refer to the string, you should mention the name of the string $ABC. But this $_ which is considered to be the default, if you use it in a string, in many operations you will see that it is not required to specify the name of the string. By default it will be considered, or it will be assumed, that the string is stored in the special variable $_. Okay. So in these examples we have considered that $_ is the place where you are storing the string. Let us look at the next statement. The right hand side uses split. Split is the function followed by a slash. After slash you have the delimiter, in this case it is a colon, and again a slash. So between the two slashes you have the delimiter. This is the basic syntax. Now here you give a comma, you give $_ means from which string you are trying to split. So if it is $_ then the second parameter is optional, but here we have explicitly mentioned split slash the delimiter, again a slash, comma, the name of the string. So after the split is executed, the splitted values will get stored in the array called details. So the values will be red, blue, green, white, and 255. Now in the next statement, for each details. Now if you look at the syntax of for each, as we had seen earlier, we had used it as follows: for each, name of a scalar variable, then within parenthesis name of the array. But here we have dropped the name of the scalar variable. By default the scalar variable will be taken as $_. Okay. So you see this, for each @details. So these elements will be accessed from the array one at a time. They will be stored in the variable $_, and in the body of the loop you are printing the value of $_ with a new line. So, basically this program will print the values of the different components of the string which are separated by colon. Let us take another example. Here the string contains a name, an email address and a telephone number. They are separated by blanks. Now, instead of a array variable name on the left, I can also specify a list of scalar variable names like $name, $email, $phone. So, when I execute a split on a blank, okay, a split on a blank from $_, then the three values will be extracted and they will be stored in name, email and phone. Now, we will see some examples, some practical examples of the split function when we use Perl for writing CGI scripts. This we shall be looking at our next lecture. Now, you understand, when a form is submitted, assuming it is a post method or get method also the same thing will be there, the data which is coming to us, it is coming as name value pairs, name equal to value, ampersand, name equal to value and so on. So, what logically we need to do at the first step, we need to split the whole string with respect to ampersand, so that the individual name value pairs get extracted. Now, with respect to each of the individual name value pairs, we can further split with respect to equal. So, the name and the value will get separated out. So, this is one practical example of split which we shall see later. Join is like the reverse of split. Join is used to concatenate or connect several elements together into a single string. Well, here also you can specify a delimiter. So, when the strings are concatenated, the delimiter is automatically put in between. Normal string concatenation is a blind concatenation. Whatever is the content of the string, they are put side by side. But here you are putting a special marker in between the strings when you are putting them or concatenating them together. Like an example here, the first example, join. The first parameter after join is the specified delimiter. Within quote I gave a space, then the names of the variables. So, the 6 variables will get concatenated whatever they contain with a space in between. The second example shows two things, that instead of a single variable, the delimiter can be any character string containing multiple characters. For example, here a double colon, this is my delimiter. So, here I have asked to join several different items, and the point to note is that one of the items is an array. So, when the new string is constructed, the elements of the array ABC will be expanded and the whole thing taken together, including the components of the array, they will be concatenated and the double colon delimiter will be put between each pair of them, consecutive pairs. Okay, fine. Now, let us have a look at Perl regular expressions. As I had mentioned at the very beginning, regular expression is one of the most useful features in Perl. Regular expression, sometimes in short we call regex, regular expression. Now, the first question is, what is a regular expression? A regular expression is basically, you can say it is a way or it is a method to specify a character string. It is a very powerful method to specify a string. Depending on our need, the string may be arbitrarily complex, as we shall see. Basically, it refers to a pattern of string pattern that of course will follow some rules. The pattern has to be specified following some rules which are guided by the syntax of the language. Regular expression is nothing but a character string, as I had said, which is actually a chunk of text. This is an extremely powerful way, as we shall see, to specify string patterns, because sometimes we need to search for something in a string. Well, simple string searching we have seen using the EQ, less than, equal, greater than, this kind of operations. We can compare two strings, but sometimes we may need to search whether a particular element belongs to the string or not, and this condition may become arbitrarily complex, as we shall see. Let us first start with a simple example that how regular expressions help us in making a program simpler. This is a program which has been written without using regular expression. See, this starts with a variable found initialized to 0. There is a character string hello good morning everybody that is stored in the variable $_, and what we are trying to do in this program is we want to search for a word every which we are storing in another variable search. Now, the program is as follows. For each word, see, we have written only split here. See, split, only writing split means number 1, see, means if you look at the usage of split we had shown earlier, there are two things we are specifying after split. Within forward slashes we are specifying the delimiter with respect to which we have to split. Secondly, after a comma we are specifying from which string we need to split out. Now, here the string is the default string $_, so we did not specify it, it is optional. And secondly, there is another optional thing in split which I did not mention earlier, that if the delimiter is a space, that is the default case, we need not specify that also. You simply mention split, that will take care of everything. It means that you are splitting the string $_ with respect to space. Okay. So, within bracket the condition is only split. So, you are splitting the string, it becomes hello good morning every day. There are 4 elements and the 4 elements will get splitted in a list, and the elements of the list will be assigned to the variable word in every iteration. Now, within the loop you are checking if word is equal to search, then you are setting the flag found to 1, and you are immediately exiting the loop by last because you have already found it. Okay. Otherwise, you go on iterating till you find or do not find. So, after you come out of the for each loop, you check the flag whether it is 0 or 1. If it is true, then you print a message that you have found out the word. Now, this same program, this program has been written without using regular expression. The same program, if you use regular expression, it becomes so small. Just try to understand what this means. First line, as usual, this is the string you are defining. In the if statement, the condition says, well, this we will explain in detail. This actually means, if this means in English, if the string every appears in $_, then print. This we can write in a single if statement in a single line. You can understand this kind of a facility gives Perl its power. This is an example of a regular expression. See, within this forward slashes I am writing every, this is a simple example of a regular expression. And this equal to tilde, this is an operator which means you search. You are searching if the string specified in the right hand side is present in the string on the left hand side. So, you can see this is extremely easy to use. As I had mentioned, the text between the forward slashes, this defines the regular expression, and here we are using equal to tilde to check if it is present. Okay, this one. Now, as an alternative we can use exclamation sign tilde, which means the negation of the condition. This means that the pattern is not present in the string. So, in place of equal to tilde, if I write this exclamation tilde, this would mean that if the string every is not present in $_, then print something. Okay. So, whether you want the truth value of the condition checked in the if statement to be whether the string is present or not present, we can use either equal to tilde or exclamation sign tilde. Okay. So, the example that we had seen, that is an example of literal text. Literal text means within forward slashes we are specifying a simple text to be searched for. This is the simplest possible form of regular expression. Some text enclosed in forward slashes you give, and that you can search whether it is present or not. There are something to remember here, that when you are performing the match, okay, all the characters in the string are considered to be significant. This you must remember. All the character means this includes punctuations, symbols like comma, semicolon, dots, and also spaces. For example, in the previous example, if you give within forward slash every followed by a blank, then the match condition will not be true, because if you look at the previous example, the string contained every body. So, there was no space after every, okay, B was immediately after it. So, if you write like this, then there will be no match. Let us look at another example. The string $_ contains welcome to IIT Kharagpur students. Here in the first case we are checking, you see within slash we are checking IIT K blank K. See, this is a default check. So, again if I want to search in $_, we need not have to specify anything. Just in the if condition, if we specify the regular expression in slash, Perl will interpret it that, well, this is the regular expression and we need to search if this is present in the default string $_. So, everything is specified in this simple thing within brackets. Okay. So, if you write like this, we need not have to explicitly specify that that equal to tilde, okay, or not equal to tilde. Just within slashes you write IIT blank K. If it is true, then you print IIT K is present in this string. Now, here actually IIT K is present, okay, IIT K was there. Now, the second if statement says if Kharagpur blank students, this is the whole regular expression, then print something. But here you see Kharagpur blank students will not match, because what is present in the string is Kharagpur comma blank students, and that said that comma is significant. If you do not compare with the comma, the match will not return true. Okay. Fine. Now, broadly the types of regular expression can be categorized as matching and substitution. In the matching case, or means here basically you are matching a string against a substring. You are checking if a given string contains a substring. The example that we had shown earlier was an example of matching. Now, for matching we use the symbol M, as we shall see with some examples, but this M is optional if forward slash is used as the delimiter. In the previous examples we were using forward slash, that is why we did not use this M. Okay, we will see some example, that means when this M is necessary. In the second type, substitution, we can replace a substring by another substring in a given string. For substitution we use the symbol S. Okay. So, we will see through examples. First let us look at matching. Matching, as you had seen, can be specified by the equal to tilde operator. This operator tells Perl to apply the regular expression on the right to the string value specified on the left. The regular expression that you specify should be contained within delimiters. As I mentioned, again I am mentioning, forward slash is the default delimiter. If the default delimiter is there, you need not specify anything else, but instead of slash, if you are trying to use some other delimiter, then a preceding M is essential. Alright, let us see how. Let us take this small example. Let us define a string good day and store in a string $string. In this if statement, we are checking if string matching M slash day slash. M is the symbol for matching I had mentioned, print match successful. As an alternate form, I can omit this M also. Since we are using forward slash as the delimiter, whether or not you use M, it does not make any difference. Both forms are same or equivalent in this case. But if you are using some other delimiter, not slash, like this example shows, here the string is same, but instead of slash we are using a delimiter at the rate. Now this M is mandatory, it is essential. The symbol that immediately follows M, that is identified as the delimiter, and similarly that same symbol will appear at the end to mark the end of the string, end of the matching string. Now this is typically used whenever the symbol forward slash also appears as part of the matching string, otherwise normally we do not want to change the default delimiter. Okay. There is another example where the opening square bracket is used as the delimiter. Okay. So this you are checking for day. Both these forms are equivalent again. In the first case we have used at the rate, second case we have used the opening parenthesis as the delimiter. Okay. There is something called character class. In character class, we use square brackets to specify any value in the list of possible values. Whenever something is specified within square brackets, it means any one of these values. Let us take an example. First line says string equal to some test string 1 2 3 4. This is the string. Well, you look at this keyword my at the beginning. This is something we are using new here, we did not use this. This my keyword specifies that this is something like a local variable. Okay, you know the concept of local and global variables in other programming languages like C or Java. Local means with only within the body of this particular procedure the value will be accessible. If you are having a separate procedure or a subroutine, you cannot access it from there. Okay. Well, look at this if statement. If $string matches, look at this, within slash we give a character class, within square brackets we mention 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. This means if the given string contains any one of these digits, then the if condition will be true. So it will search the string from left. See here at the first one it will find a match. Okay. So it will print it found a number. So this if condition will return true. The second if condition, it checks whether any one of A, E, I, O, U is present. Then it prints found a vowel. Here the match will occur here, some this O in sum. The third example shows a case string equal to again 0 to 9 A, B, C, D, E, F. Well, if you find any one of these strings, you can say that found a hexadecimal digit, hex digit. Just some examples. So within square bracket you can specify certain list of characters. So if any one of them matches, you say that the match returns true. Okay. Now just one point to note, this 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, these are consecutive values. There is a short form also, you can write 0 dash 9. This also you can write within square bracket instead of writing so many symbols. Okay. Negation of character class is also possible. if we use the caret symbol at the beginning of the character class, this will mean any single element that is not one of these values. Let us again take an example. So, again this string is given, we are checking if string matches, well, A, E, I, O, U, this vowel with a caret at the beginning. This means that the match will be returning true if none of these symbols appear in the string, or the first symbol you get is none of these, because it always tries to find out the first match. Now, if it is a negation, it will get a match in the first symbol itself, S, because S is not one of these, right. So, it will return a match in the first symbol position itself and it will print the message. Okay. So, in this examples you just note one thing, that it is trying to find out the first match it can get in the string, alright, not trying to determine all the matches in the string. Okay. There are some abbreviations or pattern abbreviations you can use in specifying more complex regular expression. A simple dot, dot means any single character except new line. So, if there is a dot in a regular expression, it means it can represent any character. So, if you write within slash CA dot, then it can be CAT cat, CAD cad, anything. Okay? Dot can represent anything. Reverse slash D means a digit, which is the same as within square bracket 0 to 9. Small w means a word, that means it is a digit or an alphabet. These are called a word character, it is an alphanumeric character. Reverse slash S is a space character. Space character means tab, space, enter, carriage return, line fit, this kind of characters. But if we use this D, W and S in uppercase, it represents the negated condition. Capital D means not a digit, capital W means not a word, and capital S means not a space character. Okay? So, you remember this. Okay. Let us look at this example. You have a string here, good and bad days. Here you are trying to compare something, slash D dot dot S. D is a character, S is a character, two dots in between. Dots can match any single character, that is what I had said. So, this will match this DAYS, days, D dot dot S. Okay. So, it will match out here. Let us look the second case. Within the forward slashes we have given W, 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 then a space character. So, there are 4 alphanumeric character followed by a space character. The first match that will occur here is here, GOOD, GOOD followed by a space. Okay. So, it will print found a 4-letter word. So, these are some slightly more complex way of specifying regular expressions. There is something called anchors, which sometimes we need to specify when we are talking about a regular expression. Sometimes when you specify some search condition, that means we want to search for a word, we may need to specify that, well, search for something which is appearing at the beginning of the string, search for something at the end of the string, search for something which is located at some word boundary, something like this. So, these anchors are used specifically for this purpose. Okay. So, there are 3 ways to define the anchor. We can use the caret symbol. Caret means beginning of the string, anchors to the beginning of the string. Dollar means end of the string, and reverse slash B means to a word boundary. Word boundary means if you have a string like this, good day, then this space is considered to be the word boundary. Okay. So, the match will take place starting from a boundary, such a boundary. Okay, some examples are here. First example, if dollar string match within slash caret slash w. Slash w means a word character, an alphanumeric. Caret means beginning. So, what we are saying that the string must begin with a word character. Caret means you are anchoring at the beginning, then slash w means a word character. This means we are checking if the string is beginning with an alphanumeric character. Okay, fine. The next one, if string match slash d dollar. D means digit, dollar is the anchor at the end. So, we are checking if the string is ending with a digit, the last character of the string is a digit or not. Okay. The third example, it is a slightly complex condition. There is a slash b here, there is a slash b here with good in between, and this entire thing is enclosed within forward slash. This actually represents that there must be a word boundary followed by good, there must be another word boundary, which means you try to find out whether good appears as a word in the string, word not a substring, because good can follow something together, but there has to be a space or a delimiter after that. It is appearing as a separate word. Okay. So, this if condition checks whether good appears as a word in the string or not. Okay. Multipliers are another important thing where we sometimes specify repeated values. Well, we may want to check something like this, that a string which begins with a character, after that it can contain any number of alphanumeric digits, but should end with a digit. This how do we specify? There are some multiplier characters we can use for that. There are three such characters we can use. Star, star means 0 or more occurrences. Plus means at least once, one or more occurrences. Question mark means 0 or exactly one occurrence. So, in a string we can use this symbol to make the regular expression more powerful. Let us look at some examples. First one, this says within slash, caret means beginning of the string, beginning a word plus, which means the string must begin with a word and there must be at least one character after that, because plus means one or more characters. Okay. So, it must begin with a character followed by at least one more character. So, it should not be a single character string. Okay. The second example, it starts with a digit followed by a question mark. The question mark can be 0 or more. Okay. So, it is either a single digit or a digit followed by some other character. Okay. The third one, a word boundary followed by a character, then as many number of characters after that followed by a space, again as many number of characters after that. So, in this way you can specify any complex kind of condition. There is some other complex condition mentioned here. So, the whatever you want to specify using a combination of these symbols we had mentioned, we can specify that in the form of a regular expression. It can be arbitrarily complex. Okay. Fine. The next important operation that Perl supports, you can do in Perl, is something called substitution, because we want to match characters, but sometimes we also want to modify something in a string, that is substituting a part of a string by something else. Okay, let us see how we can do this. Okay. Basic usage of the substitution mechanism we have mentioned is by using the S character, and the general syntax looks like this. On the left hand side you will be having some variable where this will refer to some string, $new is a string, this is an operator equal to tilde, but if if it is an S after that, this means a substitution. S slash some pattern to match. I have just written like this, but here actually the pattern will be appearing in the form of a regular expression. Again a slash new pattern. Well, here again you can specify this as a regular expression, slash closed. So, this one, what this will do is that it will be looking for the specified pattern to match in the given string specified in the left hand side, and if it is found, it will replace the string with the new pattern, okay, whatever is mentioned here. Now, the point to note is that if you give the substitution like this, then only the first occurrence of the string pattern to match will be substituted, only the first occurrence will be replaced. However, we will see that there is a method to replace all the occurrences. If you put a G at the end, G means global, then you can replace all the occurrences of the string by the other string. This we will see with examples. Let us see. The first example assigns a string like this to a variable xyz. The first one says substitute Lakshman by Bharat. So, here the new string will become Ram and Bharat went to the forest. But if you give something like this, what does the right hand side specify? Right hand side specify the first argument is a regular expression. It says the first character is R, okay, then a word plus means one or more occurrences followed by A. You see that the first such match will take place here, because you have a R, it ends with A, you have this word character, this A is that word, and plus means one or more, this M is here, one or more occurrence, okay. So, Rama RAMA matches this regular expression. So, this Rama will be replaced by Bharat in this example. So, now the string will become Bharat and Lakshman went to the forest. If you look at the last one, here substitute, the first one says AEIOU within square bracket, that means any one of these slash I. So, you search the string for the occurrence of a vowel, the first occurrence RAMA, this A is the first occurrence, replace it by I. So, Rama will become Rima, RIMA, okay. This will be the effect of the third substitution. Now, here we have another example. Here the string is a year has 11 months. In the first substitution example, we have substituted what? A digit followed by one or more characters by 12. Now, in this case, the first match here will be this, a digit followed by one or more characters. Similarly, the last one, see this string contains a new line. The last one shows an example where the new line is removed from the string. This specifies new line dollar. This dollar anchor means from the end of the string, if there is a new line, you replace it with by nothing. There are two slashes one after the other. So, replace the new line by nothing means you actually delete the new line. So, this is one way to remove the new line from the end of a string. Okay. So, just to recall, you can do the same thing using the chomp function, but this is another way of doing that. Okay. There are a couple of command you can say modifiers which can modify the meaning of a match or a substitution. One is /I, which is used to indicate that we are doing case insensitive matching. Case can be ignored. That means we do not make any distinction between lowercase and uppercase. By default, Perl is case sensitive. It considers small a and capital A to be different, but we can make it ignore case by giving this /I. And /G, as I mentioned before, if you give this, then it will match or substitute all occurrences of the substring. So, some small examples here. The first one says Ram and Shyam are very honest. This is a string. In this if statement, we are making a match. This RAM is all capital, but we have followed it with a I, Ram/I. This means you are mentioning that you make this match ignoring the case. So, this Ram and this Ram, the match will be successful, although some letters are lowercase here and some letters are uppercase here. So, this match will be successful and this string will be printed. In the second example, you see here we have given substitute the letter M by the letter J followed by /G, G means global, all occurrences. This means you substitute all occurrences of M by J. So, M in the string in Ram there is 1, in Shyam there is 1. So, after this execution Ram will become Raj and Shyam will become Shyaz. Ram and Shyaz are very honest. Okay? This will be the resulting string. Now, in regular expressions we can memorize a few things. Okay? We can use parenthesis to capture a piece of match text which you can use in later comparisons. Like we are making some kind of matching now, we want to use the result of that matching in a next statement or somewhere a little later. So, using this concept of memory we can use this kind of a feature. So, the basic idea is that Perl memorizes the match text, and you can have in general multiple sets of parentheses to memorize multiple things. Well, we will see some examples to illustrate how this works. The first thing is that how to recall the captured text, because whatever you specify in parentheses will be remembered, this is what we had said. There are two ways. You use /1, 2 or 3 if you are wanting to use the match text while you are inside the regular expression itself, the same regular expression. Then you use /1, /2 or /3. But if you have finished the regular expression and you are outside it and still you are wanting to use the last value matches, then you use $1, $2, $3 if it is after the regular expression. Okay. Let us take some example. There is a string Ram and Shyam are honest. The first example, you see here is a match. Here we are matching, caret means from the beginning of the string within bracket, okay, word followed by one or more characters. Now here the first or the smallest substring where this match will occur is R and A, okay, here. And since it is in bracket, this R and A will be remembered, and if later on we print, this is outside the regular expression, okay, if I give $1, then that match value will be printed, right. Let us take the second example. Here again within bracket we give word plus $. So, from the end there must be a word character and at least one or more character. So, the smallest string is S and T out here. So, here again we give $1, so this ST will print here and this new line. Now, the third example is a case where we are using multiple parentheses. You see, from the beginning of the string, this caret, a word followed by one or more character, followed by a space, followed by one or more character, this plus, again word followed by one or more character. Now, if you print this, the first one will print Ram, the second one will print this, there is a space, this space will come out, this plus minimum will be this A, and word followed by this plus typically it will take up to the end of the string. So, Ram, ND, Shyam are honest, this is what will be printed. Okay, fine. There is another example which shows you that use of the values within the regular expression itself. So, again the same string you look at this comparison. Within bracket a word followed by /1. /1 means the last match. This means that whatever was matched, the same thing appears immediately after that. Okay. So, on this string, if you make this kind of a comparison, this will become true out here. There are two O's appearing one after the other, right. There is a word character followed by the same thing. This means this. The next example tells you that is a word character followed by one or more, followed by a dot, at least one more character, star 0 or more, followed by this match. This means this checks whether the same thing repeats more than one time. Okay. This is a way to check whether this particular string is repeating. The last one is a method to swap two things. Say here you are substituting word one or more and word one or more, substitute it with $2 and $1. This you are outside the regular expression, the slash is ended, that is why you are using dollar. So, the first match should be Ram, the next match should be Sham, so it will be replaced by Sham and Ram. Okay. So, now the new string will be Sham and Ram are very poor. Okay. Now, some examples where we are trying to validate some user inputs. We will see that how these can be used. Well, here basically what we are trying to do is small code. A prompt is displayed where the user is asked to enter the age, and if the user wants to exit, user will type Q. So, the user enters the age from the standard input. This is a local variable, that is why I used my. I am removing the new line character by chomp. We are exiting if age equal to Q from the beginning Q, and that means Q is the only character in the line. It has an anchor at the beginning, also has an anchor at the end. And I means you can type in small q or capital Q, ignore case, right. After that you check if age, if you have a capital D means not a digit, you have read something, but if there is any non-digit character there, then you print that it is a non-number, you have entered something wrongly. Okay, this is one simple example. Let us take another example. Suppose we have a file of text, there are two columns, first column contains name, second column contains age, and between name and age there will be some spaces. Just assume for the time being that this name, if there is space, they are included within double quotes. Okay. Fine. There can be blank lines or commented lines starting with hash also. So, we want to validate this kind of file whether the data is more or less correct or not. Firstly, we are opening the file. Suppose here you assume that the file name was there in $file. We are not writing the whole one. This is already there. So, the file handle is in die. If it cannot open, we print error message. In a while loop. While loop, we are going through the file contents line by line. The first line we are reading, okay, $line equal to this file handling in. We are removing the new line character from the end of the line. We are skipping this particular loop. Next means skipping the loop and go to the next iteration. If S line /* means it is a blank line, the whole line is a blank, or /* means it is starting with a hash. So, if either of this is true, that means this is either a blank line or a comment line, you can skip it. Otherwise, you take this name and age and split with the name and age with respect to space. It can be one or more space, that is why you are giving plus from line. Then you can print a report, the age of name is age, so that by looking at the printed report you can check whether you have entered the data correctly or not. Fine. Now some special variables in Perl worth mentioning. There are three such special variables. $& means the string matched by the last successful pattern match. $reverse quote means the string preceding whatever was matched by the last successful match. $forward quote means the string following whatever was matched in the last successful match. That means in a string, if you get a match here, we are talking about the preceding string and the following string. There are three things. Let us take an example to illustrate. Suppose I have a string ABCD FGHI. We are making a match. Well, since the default string we can simply write DEF, we are checking for DEF. So match has occurred out here in DEF. We are printing $C. Since this quote is a special character, that is why we are escaping it with the reverse slash character. Actually it is $/$& $forward slash. So in the first case it refers to the preceding string. So whatever there was before the match string ABC, that will be printed followed by a colon. Then $& means the present match. $forward quote means whatever is there after the match GHI. So this means these. So actually the first one represents something called pre-match, whatever was before there represents the present match, the exact subsequent match occurred, and this represents whatever is after that. So with this we come to the end of today's lecture on our discussion on Perl. We shall be continuing our discussion on Perl next week. There are several other things to discuss, but before that let us go through the questions from last week's quizzes. How to sort the elements of an array in the numerical order? Well, this we have mentioned. By using this special construct in the sort, we can do that. Write a Perl program segment to sort an array in the descending order. Well, directly you cannot sort in descending order. You first sort in ascending order, then you reverse the entire array. Okay, in two steps you can do. What is the difference between the functions chop and chomp? Chop removes the last character in a string irrespective of what character it is. Chomp will do the same thing, but only if the last character is the new line. Okay. Write a Perl program segment to read a text file input.txt and generate as output another file out.txt where a line number precedes all the lines. Okay, so you are basically reading lines from one file, outputting it to another file. You are putting a number, colon, then the line. That is how you are outputting it. So the program will look like this. First you open the input file with error messages, open the output file, greater than means output, again error message. While INP means you are reading the lines one by one from the INP. By default it goes to $_. Then you are printing out. $. Is a special variable again. This represents the line number. Okay, this represents the line number. Line number gets printed, colon, then the contents of the line. This will repeat throughout the while loop, and finally you close the files. How does Perl check if the result of a relation expression is true or false? Well, only the values 0, undef and empty string are considered false. All else, everything else is true. For comparison, what is the difference between LT and this less than symbol? LT we use to compare strings, less than we use to compare numbers. What is the significance of the file handle argv? It reads the names of the files from the command line and opens them all. That means all the files will be read line by line and the lines will be returned in sequence. How can we exit a loop in Perl based on some condition? Using the last keyword, like last followed by a condition. Now some questions from today's class. Show an example illustrating the split function. Write a Perl code segment to join three strings A, B and C separated by the delimiter string, this one. What is the difference between equal to tilde and exclamation tilde? Is it possible to change the forward slash delimiter while specifying a regular expression? If so, how? Write Perl code segment to search for the presence of a vowel and a consonant in a given string. That means there is actually two questions: you search for a vowel, you search for a consonant. How to do that? How do you specify a regular expression indicating a word preceding and following a space and starting with B? So, the word has a preceding space, has a following space, it starts with B, ends with D, with the letter A somewhere in between. Write a Perl command to replace all occurrences of the string bad to good in a given string. The last question is same, but not in a string, you have to replace it in a given file. Okay. So, with this there are a couple of other questions. Write a Perl command to exchange the first two words starting with a vowel in a given character string. You find out two such words and then you exchange them, and what are the meanings of the three special variables as I have just mentioned. In our next class we will be talking about something called associative arrays in Perl, and we shall be actually looking at some real CGI scripts. If you want to write it in Perl, how do you do it? So, with this we come to the end of today's lecture. Thank you. In this lecture we will be first looking at some more additional features of the language Perl. Then we shall see how we can use Perl to write or develop CGI scripts with the help of some examples. So, first let us see about something which is called associative arrays in Perl. Now, we have already seen, or we have already talked about the conventional or normal arrays or lists. An array is just a collection of list items which can be accessed element wise. Now, you have seen that an array is basically a collection of items which can be accessed by specifying the index of an item in the list. The index starts with 0, so I can say the array numbers, array element number 0, element number 1, element number 2, and so on. Now, as the name associative implies, associative means we are trying to access by content. If you recall what an associative memory is, an associative memory is something which you do not access by specifying an address, rather you specify the contents and try to search whether there is any memory location with that content present. So, an associative array conceptually is very similar. It is an array where the primary mode of accessing is by specifying the value of an element rather than the index of the element in the array.